Okay, we're just jumping into this 10 minutes of reading Real Estate Investing for Canadians for Dummies. Make real estate part of your portfolio. Build wealth in any market. Secure financing and minimize taxes. Like always, flipping around random pages, reading. Even if it's halfway through a sentence, we just start reading. It's pretty dark in here. Sit in this creepy chair. Refinancing in action. For Michael, a property owner in Montreal, refinancing made sense. A divorce settlement had left him with some debts, but the 5-year term on his current mortgage was due for renewal in 2 months' time. When he spoke with his bank about renewing for a further 5-year term and boosting the mortgage by $20,000 to put him back on a solid financial footing, he was told he shouldn't be taking on additional debt and offered no discount off the posted rate of 5%. Mitchell decided to comparison shop and began talking with a mortgage broker. The broker was able to provide the same 5-year fixed rate term at a rate of 4% from a competitive lender, who would also pay all legal fees and costs to discharge the old mortgage and register the new one. The offer was good for 2 months, regardless of whether interest rates went up. If a better rate was available when Mitchell's mortgage was due, the new broker would honor the better rate. In addition, the new lender would permit a lump sum payment of 20% annually, any time in the year, without a prepayment penalty. The bank would permit an annual prepayment of just 10% without penalty on the mortgage's anniversary date. The new lender's policy was far more flexible for Mitchell, who, now notwithstanding his outstanding debts, was starting to earn large commissions from his work throughout the year. Mitchell committed to the new lender, saving plenty of money on interest payments over the next 5 years of the mortgage. These savings gave him money to reinvest elsewhere, while allowing him to pay down his mortgage faster than he could have under the original lender. Significantly in our information-rich age, real estate fraud typically takes 2 forms. Fraud for shelter, in which someone uses inaccurate or false documents to secure a property or gain title. Fraud for profit, in which someone uses false documents or exaggerated or misleading information to achieve an undue profit on the sale of the property or to leverage a mortgage well in excess of the actual value of the property. Taking shelter. Fraud for shelter is particularly dangerous because you may not detect it until after you've bought a property, at which time it's too late to prevent. It typically occurs during discharge of title, allowing someone to gain title by using a false identity or gaining authority to transfer the property to someone other than the legitimate owner. Recent years have seen growing concern around the use, or rather abuse, of powers of attorney to claim title to a property, which is then sold and the proceeds pocketed. Peter recalls one story in which someone with relatively common name was able to secure several properties because her documentation appeared to match that required of the property owners. Her name allowed her to pose as the rightful owner of several properties and to develop an ill-gotten real estate portfolio in her own name. To prevent identity theft, always shred your sensitive documents. Guard the kind of confidential information you disclose about yourself to strangers or others who have no business knowing it, and that includes on social media sites such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Although raising your profile can be a good thing, try to avoid doing so in such a way that you become a target for malefactors. Most important, demand proper identification whenever you're engaging in transactions related to your property. Expect the same precautions among those with whom you deal, and be ready to prove your identity. Raking profits. More common than fraud involving title is mortgage-related fraud. Although the exact volume is unknown, it's not unreasonable to estimate this particular type of fraud is at play in more than 500 million in fraudulent transactions each year in Canada. Some believe 1 in every 5 Canadians may commit some level of fraud by exaggerating their income in order to qualify for a mortgage. This has raised the prospect of more rigorous documentation of mortgage qualifications among some lenders. Okay, we're halfway through. 5-minute mark. Chapter 12, Closing the Deal. In this chapter, we'll be discussing entering negotiations, getting the deal that works for you, taking care of paperwork, and becoming an owner. After you find a property you think will be a good investment, you have to make it your own. In this chapter, we talk about negotiating a deal that fits your investment goals and closes as quickly and as smoothly as possible. Because each transaction is as different as the people involved, we can't offer you the secret formula for the perfect deal. Instead, we walk you through a range of strategies that are good to have in your back pocket when you're at the negotiating table. Knowing a few negotiating strategies will also prove helpful if you ever decide to sell your property, something we discuss in Chapter 16. Negotiating a deal successfully is just one part of closing on your new purchase. However, to make sure your investment gets off to a good start, you need to clear away the financial and legal details. You also need to make sure the appropriate people are paid for their roles in the transaction. We guide you through the finer points of the purchase and offer a checklist to help make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. We also tell you what you need to know about becoming a full-fledged owner as you prepare to manage your investment and enhance its value. Think a personal touch is reserved for small properties? Peter knows a major property developer who follows up with residents of his projects when concern arises about the quality of workmanship. This can occur several months after initial occupancy. The personal touch makes the residents feel the developer's genuine interest in their welfare. The same attitude can work for landlords too. Making changes. Depending on the property you buy, you could have plans for major changes or for simple adjustments that tenants will hardly notice. Regardless of the scale, make sure you communicate clearly and promptly with tenants regarding the proposals and any work schedule. By law, landlords typically must give tenants at least 24 hours written in notice in advance of entering their unit, save in the case of emergency. The better your relationship with tenants, however, the more flexibility you may have with your tenants. Treating tenants with respect will pay off in making life easier for you in the future. Some typical changes that require special attention include the following. Common area housekeeping. Even if you only let the tenants know once, it tells them what to expect and whether they should be concerned about the strangers walking through the building. Major maintenance or landscaping. Tenants shouldn't have to see a ladder outside their kitchen window before they know you're putting new siding on the building. They will be less than impressed with your approach to landlording. Major work to the grounds or the building itself is something tenants should be informed about. Service to the building infrastructure. Tell tenants if you have to turn off the hot water or test the fire alarm system. Cutting services without notice or creating an unexplained disturbance is hardly the way to win friends, though you may influence people, alas, not in your favor. Whether you're talking film shoots in the neighborhood or street repairs or the start of a construction project on an adjacent lot, telling tenants that things are happening and being willing to discuss their concerns will go a long way to building a relationship with them, and it'll ensure that they stay your tenants and don't become someone else's. Okay, last 40 seconds. We're just going to read this. Knowing your responsibility. The sensitive nature of rental relationships may be one reason why legislation emphasizes the responsibilities that landlords and tenants have to each other. Key provisions of most legislation include the following. Tenants must give at least 30 days notice prior to vacating a suite. The landlord must give at least 3 months notice when asking a tenant to vacate a suite. Landlords are responsible for providing documents concerning the tenancy, providing means for tenants to contact the landlord, and making themselves available in the event of significant issues. Landlords are responsible for maintaining a property in good repair and providing the services they've agreed to provide. Tenants are responsible for maintaining a clean unit and paying for the repair of any damage to the property that they cause. Tenants are also responsible for the conduct of guests and anyone who sublets their suite. Neither the landlord nor the tenant should harass the other. The relationship should be as professional as in any other business transaction. Okay, cool.